saying that protesters have shut the highway down, and that's what's going on. I'm going to show you the real truth here.
What's down that way?
The RCMP have shut the highway down, and it's not only is it shut down, but it's shut down for miles and miles and miles, all the way to Spring Hill, which I don't know how far that is by kilometers. It's a long ways. I'll turn around, show you guys the other side, and it goes on for miles and miles and miles. Again, for the new people on the stream here, it was not the protesters that shut down the highway, guys. It was the RCMP. They shut it down this morning. Early this morning, they shut it down. And it's been shut down. They just reopened it, I don't know what, would you say, 30 minutes ago? Or 30, 35 minutes ago, they just reopened the highway. So here it is, into a dead crawl. Probably I'd have to guesstimate 20 or more kilometers for my American brethren. That's like 15 miles straight up this road. And as far as you can see, I don't know how well the camera's gonna, but even way over there, it's just a line after line of cars. So again, we didn't do it. It's all them. But I know damn well on CTV News and ATV and CBC, they're going to be saying that it's us that did it. But we're not.
Wait, he's
Yeah, that's a good one right there.
They need the tax money.
Yeah.
The tax money for Trudeau's raise.
Make sure you pay your carbon tax. You know, he's got to pay for that 10 grand. Got to pay 10 grand somehow. But anyway, yeah, just getting some live shots of this happening in real time. The old non-environmentally friendly windmills in the distance there, chugging out non-green energy, which is what they do. So yeah, mile after mile of backups, slowdowns, and shutdowns, all because there was a group of protesters coming from New Brunswick this morning, and they didn't want them joining the already 250 or so of us on the side of the road, and then having the public see that. So they shut the highway down and then rerouted them back to that dirt road where I was when we did the last two lives. They rerouted them there, and then they had an oversized load that wouldn't fit on that little bridge. So they had to negotiate with us to open up the highway again. So they did that. They negotiated to open up the highway and to get that load through, but they only opened up one lane. So now this traffic is the result of them shutting it down westbound, which is this way, for hours and hours and hours. And now you can see that it's just a plain Jane deadlock on the other side. So it's not true, is it, Brett? We didn't shut down the highway.
RCMP shut it down.
Yep. So tell all your friends, share the video, guys. Tell everybody that it wasn't the protesters. I'm here. I know what I'm talking about. I know most of these people. It wasn't us. It was them. It's supposed to be against the law. It's supposed to be illegal to shut down critical infrastructure, but obviously that doesn't apply to police. They can do whatever they want as long as it suits the narrative of this criminal regime, this criminal government. If it suits their narrative, they'll do it. And they know that the people aren't going to hold them to task. That's why they keep getting away with it, because you don't stand up and you don't talk about it and you don't hold them to account. See, look, right now, look, this cop's coming up the side here. Look, he's coming up the side. See him there? He's not allowed to do that. There's no emergency that I'm aware of that he needs to be anywhere.
Oh, they had coffees they get him back.
There must be a fresh batch of donuts.
It was. He had coffee.
Yeah, Tim Hortons must have some crullers just come out of the oven or something.
Oh, we're going to start a ruckus here.
Yeah, we got some more people.
Wherever we go, they follow.
So spread the links. talking to my American brethren, talking to my brothers and sisters all across Canada and in the States, and my Texan friends. Spread the links. Something's happening in Canada right now. Hopefully this will lead to something bigger and much better. Because it's time, guys. It's time. We're out of time. It's now or never. You're either going to stand up against them or you're just going to roll over and let it happen. And that's where we are. Yep, miles. I wish you guys could see in the distance. I can't even see the end of this lineup. It's so far. And I can see the highway, which is basically straight over that way. I can see the highway, and they're still lined up over there. Probably 10 miles that I can see by sight. They're still lined up. So apparently it goes right to Spring Hill. So those of you that are trying to leave Nova Scotia and get to New Brunswick, you might want to pick another day to do it. And vice versa, if you're trying to come from New Brunswick to Nova Scotia, you may want to pick another day. And apparently the protesters are going to be here for at least 3 days. Debbie, what's going on is these guys are protesting the carbon tax. If you don't know, the carbon tax has a couple phases to it. Well, the last phase, or the next phase of it, went into effect today. A 23% increase in gasoline, groceries, and other things. And people in Atlantic Canada especially, but all of Canada, are struggling to even keep the lights on and even stay fed. It costs a fortune to live in Canada now. It is the 85% more expensive to live in Canada than any other place in the world. 85%. And now Trudeau is giving himself a $10,000 raise today, and all 338 members of Parliament are taking a raise while the Canadian people are starving and it's getting destitute. They're not able to afford food anymore. Everything's gone up so high. They can't afford gas to get to work. They can't do anything. This is what happens when you let tyrants run things, guys. I don't want this country to turn into another Venezuela. Although the joke's on us because Venezuela's gotten control of their country again, from what I understand.
Venezuela pays 4 cents a liter for gas.
Yeah, they've gotten control. They've kicked all the globalists out, eh? From what I heard, you saw that guy on C-SPAN, eh, where they kicked the global guys out? Like 80 of them. They just booted them right out of the country. And now things are turning around again for that country. And like I said before, Canada isn't recognized as a country internationally. It's known as the landmass. The landmass known as Canada. It's not even a country because we have no ratified constitution. There hasn't been a constitution in act in Canada since Queen Victoria died in 1901. The Statute of Westminster, December 11th, 1931. December 12th, 1931, the government became illegitimate because there was nothing passed through from the British Commonwealth. There was no assent given. The Governor General position is by commission without authority now. It has no clout. It's not legal or lawful, and that makes none of the government legal or lawful. But most people don't know that, and they haven't taken the time to figure that out. They haven't studied law. They haven't studied anything. So they don't understand that it's not legitimate. Acts and statutes don't apply to men and women. They apply to corporations or legal persons. Where in an act and statute can you find the word man or the word woman in there? You can't, because it does not exist. I'm not a legal person. Under Article 16 of the United Nations Constitution of Human Rights, Declaration of Human Rights, I waive my right to be seen as a legal person. I'm a man living in the private. I live in the private only. I do not live in the legal world. Therefore, your acts and statutes don't apply to me. That's simple. We're getting some love, but we're getting a lot of haters too. We've had a number of people that are angry, screaming stuff. Carbon tax funds the UN. Debbie said, you're absolutely 100% correct. It does. It funds all the globalist programs, Debbie, not just the UN, all of their programs. Agenda 2030, which is now Agenda 2025. Sustainable Development Goals. is what they call it. They don't want to come out and say that it's agenda. They call it sustainable development. It sounds lovely on paper. Oh, we're all going to live in 15-minute cities in bliss, and we're going to surrender all our assets to the government and all our property and everything. We're just going to surrender it all, and then we'll be happy and own nothing. That's not true. If we're not owning something, that means somebody else is owning it, right? They're not following their own advice. They're saying don't own anything while they scoop everything up and they own it themselves. You know, I encourage people to get, as you know, from on my channel, I encourage people to do research and get informed about what's really going on. Don't listen to the news. Don't listen to mainstream media. Don't listen to CBC, CTV, ATV, Global News, any of those propagandist news corporations. They're just that, corporations. They're not telling you the truth. They've been lying to you for decades. Go do your own research. Go look at alternative media sources where you can get the truth. And there's lots of them out there. Just go seek them out. And that's why Trudeau wants to put Bill C-63 through. And the internet hate speech bills and all that. He wants to squash the truth. He doesn't want the public knowing what the truth is. He doesn't want you sharing news stories. He doesn't want you sharing information. That's why you can't post news sources on Facebook or any of those other places now. I think the only place you can do it is on X, because they don't want to know. They don't want you to be telling people things. They quote it as being misinformation when the truth is it's real information, and it's true, most of it. I'm not saying everything on the internet is true, but most of that stuff that they're posting is the truth. 100% true. So if you want some advice from me, here's what I recommend. Whatever the government tells you to do the exact opposite. Do the exact opposite. If they tell you don't get food and water together, get food and water together. If they tell you that this drug is healthy, take the opposite natural herbal remedy. Don't do anything they tell you to do. Don't buy their BS, their propaganda. That's all it is. I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to gain by telling you this stuff, right? I'm giving up my time to come out here and show you guys the truth, because I don't want, first of all, people slandering us and saying that we're this, and this. I want you guys to see it with your own eyes. You can make your own minds up as to what we really are. And I'll tell you right now from the heart, we're just a bunch of men and women that are fed up, that want to be free, that want to have a future for their families and their grandkids and their children and their children's children, just like our forefathers did. Why else did they go to war and fight bankers' wars and fight wars? So that they don't march in and start giving us orders or sending us all to camps or taking away our rights or trying to do any of that. I don't believe that a man's rights are held on a piece of paper anyway. I think you're born with your rights, and they can't be turned into a governmental privilege by putting it on paper, because privileges are written on paper and they can be revoked anytime by the so-called said authority. They're not the authority. The Creator, God Almighty, is the ultimate authority. He is the only authority. That's why the Liberal government, especially Trudeau, is at war with Christians, because he doesn't want any of that information getting out there. He doesn't want people believing in the Bible. As a matter of fact, he's trying to make it hate speech if you read a Bible verse in the public. Punishable by $20,000 fine and go to jail the rest of your life. This stuff's not make-believe, guys. This isn't Disneyland. This is the truth of what's really happening in 2024. I'm not doing this for my health. And if anybody thinks that I'm spreading lies and not telling the truth, I'll debate you anytime. Come show me where I'm spreading the misinformation, where I'm not telling the truth. Show me exactly where. I'm not saying I know it all. I don't, but I know what my heart's telling me. I know what my soul's telling me. And I listen to that. I listen closely. Something doesn't feel right, and it hasn't in a long, long time. Jesus is king. I bow to no other. Absolutely, Debbie. 100%. At the end of the day, he'll decide. It doesn't matter what all these politicians do and these police do and all this other stuff. He's going to decide. And what I'm hearing from him is be ready for judgment, because judgment's coming upon this wicked earth. And it's coming soon. And it doesn't matter how many bunkers or how many holes you dig into the mountainside, you're not going to escape God's wrath. It can't happen. It won't happen. But anyway, I wanted to show you guys again what we're dealing with here. We didn't shut the highway down. The protesters didn't. The police, the RCMP are responsible. We saw them do it. We saw them do it. The minute they set up the roadblocks and kept people from accessing the highway both ways, we saw them do it. We're using our squad cars to shut the lanes off. Much like over here, those two cars, that SUV and that other SUV, RCMP, they're blocking access to the off-ramp right there that merges onto the highway down there. They won't let anybody through there. What gives them the authority to shut down our roads? Because they don't like protesters, or they don't like a protest going on. Because some evil man sitting in an office said that it's not right, it's illegal, or it's unlawful. Wake up, people. Wake up. It says in the book that my people perish due to lack of knowledge. Well, that's exactly what's going on. Get informed. Stay informed. Right? Anyway, signing off. I'll be back on when I got more to show you. Just stay tuned. Please share all the links for today's lives to everybody you know. Put it on all your social media. We need the country to know what's really happening, guys. And you're a big, big part of it. And I appreciate every one of you. God bless.